Have you ever noticed your cat acting different right before you have a breakdown? Or showing up the moment your mood shifts? You probably thought it was coincidence. But here's what you've been missing. Your cat knew before you did. And they've been tracking your emotional state more closely than you ever realized. 1. They're reading your breath, not your face. You've been upset, stressed, maybe crying, and your cat didn't rush over to comfort you the way a dog might. They didn't nuzzle you or whine or paw at you. So you assumed they didn't notice, that they didn't care, that whatever you were going through was invisible to them. But here's what most people don't realize. Your cat wasn't ignoring you. They were reading you, just not in the way you expected, because cats don't assess emotion through facial expressions the way humans do. They assess it through breath, through the rhythm of your inhales and exhales, through the chemical composition of the air you're releasing when your body is in distress. When you're anxious, your breathing changes. It gets shallow, faster, and your cat registers that shift immediately. When you're sad, your exhales carry different pheromones, different hormonal markers. And your cat's olfactory system is built to detect those changes at a level you can't even comprehend. They're not looking at your face to see if you're okay. They're listening to your lungs, smelling your breath, reading your body like a language you didn't know you were speaking. So the next time your cat sits quietly nearby while you're struggling, don't assume they're indifferent. They've already taken your emotional temperature. And their stillness isn't apathy, it's acknowledgement. 2. The stare isn't judgment, it's assessment. You're having a hard moment. You're crying, or you're angry, or you're spiraling. And your cat is sitting across the room, staring at you, not coming closer, not offering comfort, just watching. And you've taken that as coldness, as proof that cats don't care the way dogs do. That they're detached, unfeeling. But here's the thing, that stare isn't judgment. It's not indifference. It's assessment. Your cat is trying to figure out what's happening. Whether you're safe, whether the environment is safe, whether they need to respond or retreat. Because cats are prey animals as much as they are predators, and their survival instinct tells them to gather information before they act. When your cat stares at you during emotional distress, they're reading your body language, your vocalizations, your energy. They're determining threat level. And yes, they're deciding whether getting closer will help or make things worse. Not because they don't care, but because they care enough to assess first. And here's what you've been missing. That distance isn't rejection, it's respect. Your cat is giving you space while staying present. They're not leaving, they're not hiding, they're watching, waiting, making sure you're going to be okay. And that quiet presence, that steady gaze, that's their version of holding space for you. 3. They mirror your cortisol levels without you realizing it. You've been stressed for days, weeks, maybe months. Work has been brutal, life has been heavy, and your cat has been acting strange, more anxious, more withdrawn, hiding more, sleeping in different spots. And you've been worried something is wrong with them. You've been blaming them for the shift. But here's what you didn't know. Your cat's behavior wasn't random. It was a reflection. A mirror of what you've been carrying, because cats don't just live with stress, they absorb it. A study from Linköping University in Sweden in 2021 found that cats synchronize their stress hormone levels with their owners. Your cortisol becomes their cortisol. Your anxiety becomes their anxiety. And they don't do this because they're weak or overly sensitive. They do it because they're bonded to you, because their nervous system has learned to track yours, to match yours, and when you're dysregulated for long periods of time, they become dysregulated too. So if your cat has been acting off, stop looking at them as the problem. Look at yourself. What have you been carrying that you haven't processed? What stress have you been normalizing? Because your cat has been trying to tell you something, not through words, through their own body. They've been showing you what you've been doing to yourself. And maybe it's time to listen. 4. The slow blink when you're upset is medical, not emotional. You were having a hard moment, and your cat looked at you and slowly closed their eyes. Once, twice, and you thought it was sweet, maybe even comforting, but you didn't understand it had function, that it was doing something to you, something measurable. The slow blink isn't just affection, it's a calming signal. A deliberate biological attempt to lower your stress response. When a cat slow blinks at you, they're signaling safety, non-threat, and your nervous system registers that signal even if your conscious mind doesn't. Your heart rate can drop, your breathing can slow, your cortisol can decrease, just from that blink. Your cat wasn't being cute, they were trying to regulate you, to bring you back down, to show you that in this moment, with them, you're safe. And the fact that they did it while you were upset means they knew you needed it. They saw the distress, and they responded with the one tool they have to calm a nervous system that isn't their own. So the next time your cat slow blinks at you during a hard moment, don't just smile and move on. Let it land. Let it work, because they just gave you a piece of medicine you didn't know you needed. And if that just changed how you see the slow blink, stay with me until number 6. Because there's one thing your cat does during your hardest moments that you've been misreading as abandonment. 5. They know before you cry, because they smell the shift. You were fine, or at least you thought you were. And then your cat showed up. Out of nowhere. Right before the tears came, right before the mood crashed, and you thought it was coincidence. Or maybe they wanted food, or attention. You didn't connect it to what was about to happen. But here's what most people don't realize. Your cat didn't show up by accident. They showed up because they smelled it coming. The chemical shift that happens in your body right before you cry. The hormonal change that precedes emotional breakdown. Cats can detect those changes before you're even consciously aware of them. Before the first tear falls. Before your throat tightens. They know. And when they show up in those moments, they're not asking for something. They're responding to something. A distress signal you didn't know you were sending. A change in your scent, your breath, your skin chemistry that told them you were about to go somewhere hard. And they came to be near you, not to fix it, not to stop it, just to be present for it. If this is shifting the way you see your cat's timing, go ahead and subscribe, because there's more you've been missing about how deeply they're reading you. 6. When they leave the room, it's because your energy became unsafe. You were having a breakdown, or an argument, or a full-scale meltdown, and your cat got up and left the room. And it hurt. It felt like abandonment, like proof that they didn't care, that when you needed them most, they chose to walk away. But here's what actually happened. Your cat didn't leave because they don't care. They left because their nervous system couldn't handle the intensity. Cats are highly sensitive to emotional volatility, to raised voices, to crying, to the kind of raw, unregulated energy that happens during conflict or crisis. And unlike humans, they don't have the capacity to stay present through that level of intensity without it dysregulating them too. So they leave, not as a judgment, not as a statement about you, but as self-preservation. Because staying in that room, in that energy, would flood their system in a way they can't recover from. And their instinct is to remove themselves before that happens. And here's the hardest part. You needed them to stay. You wanted comfort. You wanted proof that you weren't alone. But your cat couldn't give you that without losing themselves in the process. So they left. And you felt abandoned. But they were just trying to survive the storm you were in. And maybe that's not fair, but it's the truth. 7. The head bump after a hard day is scent marking your return to baseline. You finally calmed down. The crying stopped. The anxiety lifted. You regulated. And then your cat came back. And they head bumped you. Rubbed their face against your hand, your leg, your cheek. And you thought it was just normal cat affection. A sweet moment with no particular meaning. But here's what you didn't know. That head bump wasn't random. It was reclamation. When you're emotionally dysregulated, your scent changes. The pheromones you release shift. And to your cat, you temporarily smell like someone else. Someone unfamiliar. Someone unsafe. And that's disorienting for them. Unsettling. So when you come back to baseline, when your body chemistry returns to normal, your cat doesn't just welcome you back. They remark you. They cover you in their scent again. They're saying, okay, you're you again. I recognize you now. We're safe again. That head bump is them reclaiming the person they know. The person they bonded to. The version of you that feels like home. And if that doesn't break your heart open a little, I don't know what will. Because your cat has been waiting for you to come back to yourself. And the second you did, they made sure you knew they noticed. Your cat has been reading you this whole time. Not with words, not with gestures, with breath and chemistry and the quiet vigilance of a species that survives by paying attention. They've known when you were breaking. And they've stayed anyway.